You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly.
Absolutely. And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Hello.
You know, when you think back pain, agonizing pain can keep you from the things you love most. When you realize that if you stretch the wrong way or you moved and you're just achy and you feel pains that are shooting down your legs, or you've done something to your neck where the pain goes into your shoulder and down your arms, and you've tried conservative type methods to no avail, you don't have to live a life on pain medications. Don't be fooled by other institutions that will tell you you need to have hardware fusion surgeries. Things like screws and rods and plates, those can be left in a toolbox. They're not needed in your back. You need to reach out to somebody like the Bonati Spine Institute, where we have targeted precision procedures called the Bonati Spine procedures that help alleviate patients' pain. We've done, I believe it's a 10-year survey where patient satisfaction has been at 98.75%. And that's astounding, because when you take a look at other things that are on the market, they have nowhere near that satisfaction rate, and they don't always resolve the pain, but the patented Bonati Spine procedures do. With that said, we have an exciting show lined up for you today. We have Philip Romero. He's going to be talking about an Obamacare solution, and boy, oh boy, do we need that. And then we have Judy Frankel. She's going to talk about a congressional blacklist.
Yeah, it's basically just sort of, there's a whole backstory of why she got into investigating the government on her own, and she's just a layperson. But she decided basically what you just said, to make a blacklist of people in Congress that don't do their job, and the most corrupt ones. And she's going to share some names for us.
Love it. Can't wait to hear about that. And then, of course, you'll hear what's new in American medicine today. But up first,
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
it is my pleasure to introduce to the program Missy Magden. She's from Cumming, Georgia, and she's on the line with us right now.
Hey, how
Hi.
are y'all?
Hey.
Good, good. Why don't you tell us how you came to be in pain? Were you in some sort of accident, or was it something degenerative in nature?
It just came little by little.
Okay.
I was physical education teacher for 25 years, gymnast, and then coached gymnastics. And it just came on after my 50s. And I'm 57 now, and just kind of gradually came. And so thankful for Dr. Bonati and his staff of what they have done for me.
Okay.
With me being as active as I am and was, and now I'm back being active, and
Let me stop you for 1 second, Missy, because you're really jumping ahead. So
She feels so good. She just wants to jump to how she feels now.
It's only been a week.
Now, you said that you felt like it was progressive over time.
Yes.
Can you tell us and describe for everyone what that pain was like? Where on the body did you feel it? Was it localized? Did it shoot anywhere? And describe how it was affecting your life.
It was on my right side of my back,
Okay.
my lower back, and then shot straight down to my right leg, my front of my thigh, all the way down to my calf, and then on my foot,
All right.
top foot, toes, and then the bottom of my feet.
Ooh.
And I couldn't go to the grocery store without just moving some cans just
Right.
to sit,
Okay.
to recoup for a second so that I could, go to the grocery store.
Sure.
Water aerobic instructor now, and in the water, I was great. When I got out, it was hard for me to even get out. It was really bad.
Now, Doc, is that because in
You're
the
more
water,
buoyant.
obviously, you're more buoyant, there's less stress and pressure on your spine?
Yeah, exactly. That was the problem.
Yeah. So obviously you needed to figure out what was going on, right, Missy?
Absolutely.
So what'd you do?
And I knew something was wrong. I was in so much pain.
So what did you do?
Well, I did the Band-Aid things and did an epidural. That didn't really, it just helped for a couple of days. I went to chiropractor, and that didn't help. So I found out about Dr. Bonati and came and.
How?
And
because there you are in Georgia. How did you find out about the Bonati Spine Institute all the way in Hudson, Florida?
I was actually in Alabama teaching water aerobics, and one of my students was there and saw how much pain I was in and suggested for me to go online to look about Dr. Bonati. And I did. And I'm so thankful that my husband proactivated everything and said, "You've got to go. We've got to get this cleared." And that's where I am.
Okay. So
amazing.
So fast forward, you make the trip from Georgia to Florida. Were you uneasy at all? Because let's face it, it's spine surgery. No matter what way you look at it, were you a little bit on edge?
Of course, anybody would be. Yeah.
Sure.
And you get a little nervous, but everybody was so wonderful. They made you feel so comfortable. The institution is just awesome. They just make you feel at home as much as possible.
Okay.
And I just can't thank the staff as much as Dr. Bonati. I mean, they were all so wonderful.
Well, what was the evaluation like for you with the doctor? Did you have to tell them? Yeah.
1 to 10, 10 being the best. He was probably 15. I mean, I really cannot even. I mean, he went way beyond. I mean, I just can't explain or let anybody know how much more I feel and how much more my life is back. And I can climb the stairs. I can get on the floor and play with my dogs. And I've got a granddaughter who's 4 who lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I can play with her now. And I just a different life now. And I really, really just owe it to him and his staff.
Missy, after suffering as long as you did, telling with the back pain that you had, what was it like to come into the institute and have the doctor actually tell you what was wrong just from looking at your medical records in the MRI?
I just couldn't believe it. I didn't know. I could have understood a car wreck or an accident at work. Teaching PE. I didn't understand how all this happened. Right. And anyway, when we were in the office, he explained to me exactly what was going on with my back, and why I was having the pain that I was having. But either the doctor or myself did not know really what really triggered it. It was just something I did, obviously. So, but he explained everything in detail and asked questions, and then my husband asked questions, I asked questions, and they were answered, and I felt so comfortable.
Good. I have a quick question, though. Did you watch your surgery?
Yes.
What did you think?
That wasn't the greatest thing in the whole wide world, but yes, I did. And I tried to understand a little bit what was going on.
Did you think it was cool just being awake and seeing your own procedure?
I don't think it was all that cool, but it was a learning experience.
And
different for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the interaction? Do you remember them asking you to try to recreate your pain or to move to make sure that they had gotten to the source of your pain?
Oh yeah. It was like, do you feel this? And I would say yes. My lower back, my ankle, my foot. Yes. And therefore, they knew exactly where my pain was coming from. And
did you yourself understand why that was so important versus being put completely under?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And not that it was a pleasant feeling, but it didn't last very long. It was just he knew where my problem was, and then later it was just resolved.
Okay. And because they do everything incrementally, the area they targeted, you're always going to have surgery site pain, but the actual area that they targeted, when did you feel a lift of that pain? How quickly did you feel that?
actually, I had 3 operations.
Right.
And during the week and a half that I was there,
Mm-hmm.
and little by little, I got a little bit better.
Uh-huh.
And the last surgery was immediate.
Okay.
Immediately.
Right.
I wasn't lifting. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Because then you had completed your surgical summary.
Absolutely.
Great. So immediate relief. And are you back to doing some of the things that you couldn't do before?
I'm little by little doing it. I'm
Okay.
still, like I said, another week,
Mm-hmm.
and I can get back. But I'm doing what the doctor says in 2
Taking
weeks.
it-
Just try
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, she was
Slowly,
she was just
little
there,
by little.
Yeah.
right? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, it will
Perfect.
be 2 weeks next Monday.
All right.
But I'm walking my dogs.
Uh-huh.
I'm not wrestling any alligators or running the marathon yet.
Do any
Yes.
of us do that, though? Well, thank you for sharing your story of recovery with us here on American Medicine Today.
Thanks, Missy.
Thank you, Missy.
so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank
weekend.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
Do any of us wrestle gators, though? That's what I want to know.
I would like to.
You
Doc
should
does?
you
I want no
should
part of a
write
gator.
that on your release form. In 5 days, you too can wrestle gators. If you're suffering just like Missy was, make sure you reach out to Bonati at 855-267-0482 or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about an Obamacare solution. Make sure you stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell with our friend Ethan Euchre,
Glad to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff,
Hello, friends.
and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Hello.
Now, the American healthcare system continues to be a polarizing issue in the presidential election, and joining us right now is Philip Romero, professor of finance at the University of Oregon and co-author of Health Financing Without Deficits, Reform that Sidesteps Political Gridlock, a book that claims to have the Obamacare answer. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Romero.
Oh, good afternoon, Kimberly. Thanks for having me. You guys do great work. I'm happy to help.
Well, we appreciate
you.
that. Now, Philip, obviously, without doubt, Obamacare has been a complete failure. What, in your opinion, are the biggest flaws, and why did Obamacare crash and burn so badly?
Well, I am no fan of Obamacare, but I would not call it a complete failure. I mean, the two
We
basic
would.
yardsticks by which you can judge health reform are, number one, does it get more people care? And it has done that. The other is, does it control costs? And it very definitely has not done that.
Correct. Now, has it really gotten people care? Because we have interviewed so many people where that are doctors, as a matter of fact, and they're being told that maybe they can do an initial visit with their long-term patient, but all of a sudden when it comes to care, oops, they don't cover them. And then they have to start from scratch going somewhere else. So is it really offering the health care that these people so deserve?
And not only that, we have some other change. When Obamacare came over, you have 9 million people that they have insurance by their workers. The people who hire, they already insure these people. And then because the Obamacare, then not only they cut the hours from 40 to 30, so they don't need to pay the insurance. And then these people just scramble all over. And $9 million was 9 million people was totally displaced to Obamacare. And Obamacare not only is a fraud in that circumstance, at the same time doesn't serve because great amount of physicians don't receive those patients.
Well, I would, and I'm guilty of this same mistake in what I said a moment ago.
Okay.
The fundamental error of the Obama administration was they took a cost problem, which is rapidly escalating medical costs, and they defined it as a coverage problem. And as I just did a moment ago, I conflated coverage with care, and you quite correctly called me out about that. You know, if you have an insurance policy, but that insurance policy doesn't really give you access to doctors or is really unaffordable, it's only paper care. It's
Correct.
only paper coverage, effectively. And
Yes.
that's what you're saying, Dr. Bonati, and that's absolutely true. So, essentially, the Obama administration took a very, very hard problem and redefined it as an easier problem, but in the process, they didn't really solve the problem.
Right. They just displaced millions of people that had health care. They left them without it, and they're scrambling to find it now.
Philip,
It's fair. It's fair.
everybody wants to. We've talked to numerous people about Obamacare, and quite frankly, everybody wants to bitch about it, but nobody really has a great solution. Based on your unique viewpoint, being a professor of finance at University of Oregon, you can come at it from what I believe to be an intelligent angle. How do you fix it? If they don't repeal it, or if they do repeal it and start something new, how can we have the concept of increasing health care for everybody, but not go bankrupt and not have the middle class pay for it?
Well, I'm not going to claim that I have a complete answer, but I think the correct answer includes at least the following components. Number one, and I hate to say this since I'm talking to an MD, but it's got to involve some sort of serious increase in competition among providers, so that competition causes price reductions like it has in every other industry.
Free market.
Every health reform of the last few generations has focused on financing and not on actual care delivery.
Yes.
Second, as I just implied by that, it's got to focus on cost and not coverage. And then third, and the reason why I and my co-author Randy Miller wrote the book we did, is because we believe that it's possible for states to finance healthcare in a different way and do it without breaking the bank. And our book discusses an approach which is called the Health Insurance Revenue Bond, or HERB, which we think would allow states to finance healthcare much more affordably.
I think what we need to do is we need to move the healthcare from the hands of politicians, something that will be totally illegal. I think doctors and insurance companies, they need to work together, and they need to go. It's just very easy to blame the doctors all the time, and every time it's the only profession who try to save money, and all the other professions, what they try to do is to try to influence the system so they can make more money.
Yeah,
doctors are being punished.
It's been the artifact of American system, is everybody wants to push the cost onto somebody else. Absolutely true.
Yeah. Well, if we have an organization that is going to go and negotiate with the insurance companies, and that will be an organization in medicine that will discuss with the insurance companies and will say, this is fair, we will solve this one, and we will help. But at the same time, the insurance companies cannot have the monopoly that they have today on all the states. When the insurance companies are in every state, and 90% of that state belong to one insurance company, you don't have competition, you have a tyrant that is going to push the patients and is going to push the doctors for the profit of that company. If you break that, and you can have an insurance that I can buy insurance in Alabama, or I can buy insurance in Alaska, I tell you that the price will be different, the situation will be different, and the patient will be served better.
I agree with that, and let me bring this back to Obamacare for a second. When I alluded a moment ago to the fact that in large parts of the health delivery system were not really very competitive, that's insurance is very definitely Exhibit A about that. The dynamic over the last 20 years has been, as hospitals have consolidated, insurance companies have consolidated in exchange. And the Obama administration, when it wrote Obamacare 5 years ago, they learned the lesson from Hillary Care 20 years before that and said, we don't want to let the insurance companies kill this deal, so we'll let them write the bill. And they wrote the bill in such a way that, as you mentioned, it's only accelerated the consolidation of the industry, so that in many states you basically have a monopoly. That's why I said earlier that reforms that strictly focus on financing and insurance and don't get at the root lack of competition in
Sure.
the industry will never really control costs.
Okay.
Absolutely, you're right.
And we all know they wrote this behind closed doors along with, oh gosh, what was the gentleman's name? It just escaped me.
Who? Gruber?
Gruber, yes.
Right.
And they all said the American public was stupid.
Well, if you want to find out what's
So-
in it, let us pass it.
Exactly. So thank you very much for being on the program to talk about what's happening out there with our healthcare system. Again, professor of finance at the University of Oregon and co-author of Health Financing Without Deficits, Reform That Sidesteps Political Gridlock. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Philip.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's a topic, of course, we could spend the whole show talking about. That about wraps things up for this segment. Make sure you stay tuned because we have Judy Frankel coming up next to talk about a congressional blacklist.
And a lot about GMOs, I think.
A lot. Yeah. Sounds fascinating. Make sure you stay tuned. You're listening to American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for continuing to listen to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our friend Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
And our other friend over there, our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Thank you for continually having me.
Absolutely. And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
That's going to be a very short time.
Oh,
I think I'm
ouch.
getting
You
the
heard
box.
it here first. Now.
I'm getting the box after the show, you guys.
And he even brought you nuggets. Actually, his wife did.
But
so.
that's what they did for.
Not
Trying
at
to
all.
con us.
Joining us right now is Judy Frankel, a master gardener, food activist, blogger for the Huffington Post, and author who is leading the movement to fix Washington. Thank God. Her book, In the Search of the Next POTUS, One Woman's Quest to Fix Washington, a true story, gives voters the tools to combat corruption in Congress while choosing a qualified leader for the White House. She'll be talking about the congressional blacklist. Thanks for joining us, Judy.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
So, Judy, you initially started this congressional blacklist, which puts all of the terrible members of Congress on blast for their ineffectiveness because you were actually concerned about food, of all things. So tell us how that started.
So back in 2011, before before the 2012 election, I was thinking about the Obama presidency and what he has done or has not done to clean up our food supply. And unfortunately, he elected or appointed the same Monsanto cronies that Clinton, Bush Jr. had appointed that made it possible for GMOs to enter our food supply, but also for glyphosate or Roundup to be sprayed on our crops in greater and greater amounts. So the quantities now are about 300 million pounds per year sprayed just in the United States.
That's crazy.
And so we're seeing the health effects of that in the way of celiac disease, gluten intolerance. It causes, there's reasons why it would cause autism, but in combination with other chemicals that we actually ingest. We eat glutamate. It's a flavor enhancer that causes the brain to think, oh, I'm not full, so I'll just keep eating. That glutamate is in most of the prepared foods that you see in the supermarket.
Wow.
And glutamate plus Roundup is a toxic combination for the brain.
I would imagine.
So we will see more and more autism and Alzheimer's as a result of these food. They're not really additives. They're part of the process of making food. The glutamate is an additive, but the Roundup is sprayed on corn, soy, canola, and that's how it's entering our foods. So I'm very concerned about who runs our, EPA, USDA, and FDA, because they either allow or protect us from these toxic chemicals, and unfortunately they're not doing their job. And so it's up to the president of the United States to decide who gets appointed to these very high-level positions.
Correct. Judy, I have a quick question, though. You hear things like organic foods, and you're supposed to be eating healthier, but of course you can take a healthy crop and then you can spray something like Roundup on it, and doesn't that counteract
I think a lot of
all the
times,
good
though,
you're trying to do?
I think, at least according to my wife, because that's all she'll buy is organic, this and that. She claims, now I don't know where she gets this knowledge or if it's even true, but she says if it's labeled organic, that means that it's pesticide free. Is that right?
Pesticides, no hormone.
That's not completely true.
Then my wife's a liar.
There are some pesticides that are allowed, even under the organic schedule.
Okay.
The good thing, though, is organic still does not allow Roundup sprayed on the crops. So if it's labeled organic, it's definitely not sprayed with Roundup. The unfortunate thing is that there's so much glyphosate sprayed in the United States. It's now found in the water. It's found, actually, it rises up into the atmosphere and comes down with the rain. It's been found by the U.S. Geological Survey in every river, lake, and stream from the Mississippi over, so toward the east. So unfortunately, it's pretty much ubiquitous. And the problem is that we keep spraying it, so we keep compounding the problem. It doesn't go away, and the breakdown product is still found in rivers, lakes, and streams, and it's affecting all of us. So whether you buy organic or not, we still need to get this out of the environment.
Judy, I can hear
going back to GMOs, I wanted to say one thing.
Yes.
Even if something's labeled no GMO, that's not good enough, because the USDA label is actually the best. The no GMO does not guarantee that it's not sprayed with Roundup, because there are wheat, oats, barley, legumes even are sprayed with Roundup as a desiccant to dry it out before it's harvested. So most breads, if they're not labeled USDA organic, have glyphosate in them.
Okay.
And the scary thing about glyphosate is we're not testing our food to see if it's in there. So what we have to do as consumers is test it in our blood and urine. And I just recently had my daughter's urine tested, and I try to stay away from anything that's not organic, and yet she had ridiculously high levels of glyphosate in her urine, which just goes to show how hard it is to keep out of your body.
Judy, I can hear the
Judy, hang on a second. Judy,
let's have a conversation. Yeah. I have a question for you.
Judy Frankel Show, everybody.
I can hear I can hear the passion in your voice. That's why I'm jumping in. But I'm curious, as a master gardener and obviously as a mom, did your passion for your children and your gardening result in the interest? Because you're very educated, you're very aware. Does that kind of that combination of your passion for your family and the gardening, is that what led you down this path?
Absolutely, because when you're in the garden and you're seeing, how unbelievably prolific nature is, how productive it is, you think to yourself, how could GMOs improve on this? It's just phenomenal how much a peach tree can put out. If you see, a peach tree in bloom, there are so many blooms on my peach trees. You have to cull them, you have to thin them, so that otherwise they'd have a whole bunch of little tiny peaches. But if you thin them, then you have large peaches. And I spend an awful lot of time taking off all the peaches that are the smallest ones to allow the larger ones to grow. Well, with this kind of beautiful, nature will provide, if you're plugged into that, you understand how powerful it is if you work within nature. And I think we're getting so far afield of that. GMOs really hasn't solved anything. They haven't stopped starvation all over the world. They haven't fed hungry people, as they say. In fact, most of the GMOs corn, in fact, is changed into high fructose corn syrup just to make it's a subsidy for the sweetener industry because our government pays for that.
Hey, Judy.
And then it's cheap.
Yeah,
put it in all the drinks.
We don't have a lot of time here, so let's actually switch gears because we're going to talk about the congressional blacklist, and we've spent 9 minutes talking about GMOs, which is it's a good topic, but we don't have a lot of time here. Some of the other things that you touch upon are rigged voting machines, voter suppression, and how members of Congress, some of them have the worst records when it comes to the economy and health. Quickly, if you can, detail a few of those things.
Okay, so there were three things that got them on the list. Three things that they either passed or didn't turn down. One was that they passed the deregulation of the banking industry. One was that they allowed the Trans-Pacific Partnership to be fast-tracked, which is a terrible trade deal I won't go into right now. And the last one that has most to do with health is that they passed the DARK Act. So all three of these things got them onto the list. Some people have passed all three, some people too. But the most important thing is the DARK Act, the Deny Americans the Right to Know Act, makes it impossible for us to really regulate or label GMOs on food.
Judy, tell us a couple of the folks that made the list.
Exactly.
Especially any of them in Florida that we can
names.
take target at.
Okay, so while I get that open, let me just mention that your listeners or your viewers can find the list at not only insearchofthenextpotus.com, which is the title of my book, but also the pledgeforhonestcandidates.com. That is the way that I'm recommending that people solve these problems, is through asking your congressman if they will sign this pledge, which basically separates the people who would be honest, who would vote in your interest, versus the ones who take a lot of money.
We're down to a minute. Can you name names?
Okay, so let's get to the Florida people.
Patrick Murphy.
And again, you can also type in blacklisted,
Exactly, because we're coming up on election time, so we want to know names. So if they're doing stuff we don't like.
Bill Nelson and Marco Rubio both passed or said yes to the TPP, which I'm vehemently against. But Marco Rubio also voted yes to the DARK Act. What district are you in? What districts do you care about?
Oh, my gosh.
Hillsborough County.
Tampa, Hernando, St. Pete.
All the incumbents in these districts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
Is this
17,
Sesame Street?
18,
48, 49, 50.
24, 25, 26, and 27. They all have people who have passed these bills. One of the worst is Ileana Lehtinen. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly, but she's in District 27.
I got an idea. Let's throw them all out and bring new people in. How about term limits?
I like it. We're out of time, Judy.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
And
thank you, Judy.
Once again, the pledgeforhonestcandidates.com, the name of your book, In Search of the Next POTUS, One Woman's Quest to Fix Washington, a true story. Judy Frankel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
See, Judy's a blogger, so she's used to just writing.
Yes, yeah.
Apparently not having a conversation.
She has great information.
No,
though.
it's really great stuff.
Very passionate. Very passionate.
Yes.
Your mic's off, Jeff.
Very passionate. Very passionate.
Well, make sure you stay tuned, because coming up, you'll hear what's new in American medicine today. You're listening to us right now. Thank you. Stay tuned. We're coming back. I
Hey, we'll
promise.
holler at you.
Bye. Stand. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others
procedures fail.
Inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for watching and listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Hi.
Hi. And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Hi.
Now it's time to see what Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, President Obama, and the Democrats have simmering in Washington, D.C. Let's see what's cooking in Barack's crock.
Well, a lot of stuff has been simmering for quite some time. So why don't you talk about Obama's illegal effort to bail out health insurance companies?
Well, you need to understand that Obamacare is nothing more than a program created by the politicians, for the politicians, with a classical idea of not really performing for the public. So the ones that they suffer with these ideas are the patients.
Okay.
So at the very end, the ones that they filled up their pockets with the special interests and some cozy arrangements with insurance companies are the politicians. Well, the major trouble with this, the priority to survival of the Obamacare, that is a socialized medicine, create a type of an illegal bailout of the insurance. And for that one, they create some type of a risk corridors programs.
Correct.
Well, this is a direct interference with business. The problem with that is that they need to pay the insurance companies to take these risks. When that really happened, they were unable to perform in 2014. They already were behind $2.5 billion.
Okay.
And they're not paying the insurance. So like everything that is governmental, you don't pay, you don't have accountability, and you don't care about.
Right.
It's a machine of irresponsible bums that the only thing that they do is spend your money, but when they need to pay, they cannot because it's not funds for it. But the major trouble with that is these $2.5 billion, they were not paid.
Right.
So the insurance companies that they were trying to help the government, or they were trying to get in bed with the government, they got caught on the trap. And then they immediately, the CEOs of certain insurance companies, the best insurance company in the nation right now is the United Healthcare, has a tremendous amount of good management. And the CEO of that company is extremely bright. So he saw the monster coming directly to his company and just ducked the ball. And what they did is they come out from it.
Right.
Following his lead, other companies also, they come out. And the companies that they come out was also Humana and Cigna.
Some Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Blue Cross Blue Shield is
In
trying to come out,
states.
but it's too deep with the government. There's too much corruption on both sides. So they're trying to negotiate some payments. And that payment is the one that is going to be a problem because they don't have money for it.
Okay. Let me play devil's advocate because, it's been brought to our attention that, Obama was trying to do the right thing. Right? And these insurance theoretically
no.
Well, wait,
resent.
let me get my point out. I know you resent it,
right.
but what if it was said that Obama was really trying to do the right thing and damn these insurance companies because they're the rotten ones? But weren't they sitting there right with Obama and Gruber when they built this from the ground up?
No. This is a manipulation of the left wing of the country, who are formed by individuals that they are massively corrupted on the government, and politicians that they are massively corrupted by the special interest.
Sure.
So what happened is they thought that was something very cozy to jump on a healthcare that was one of the best healthcares in the world. Yes, you do have some people that they didn't have insurance companies. I mean, they didn't have insurance. But today, you have more people without insurance.
Right.
You have in shambles the healthcare, and you now suddenly are coming on the market saying you're going to pay 100% of your premium plus deductibles plus out of pocket, and the people is making $20,000 or $50,000 a year. They'll be able to pay that,
and their premiums are increasing again in 2017.
Yeah. The ridiculous thing is that the people think that the politicians are going to do something. The politicians don't do anything that they don't benefit them, and they have something hidden in their pocket to be able to benefit themselves.
Okay, but Obamacare, do you think Obamacare was purposely set up to fail so that we could move everyone onto
single-payer system?
Exactly.
Well, that is the idea of the left side, the left wing of the politics. They want to move healthcare to a single payer. Imagine that they cannot manage the VA hospital, who is a total socialistic system. They have problems with everything. They have ration of medicine. They have
waiting list of years.
Waiting list that they forever. And do you want to have the country in the 300 million people on some type of a program like that?
Could you imagine if you've already been waiting years to get your medical care, and then suddenly they just decide to say, oh, you've died? Which has happened to quite a few veterans. I mean, let's be real. They've been announced dead, and they go, wait a minute, I'm still very much alive. And they've had to reach out to David Jolly and try to get their benefits reinstated. I mean, that's how crazy that is. And now
they're thinking that the program should be equal to England or Canada.
Right.
The Canadians and the English people ration medicine based on money, not in necessity of the people. So when you have a problem, you wait.
So the government is simply overseeing now what has become, the government and some of these insurance companies have kind of become, as you're talking, Dr. Bonati, I realize they're healthcare slumlords.
Ooh.
Basically, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And on that note, that wraps up this
segment. The good thing is that the Obamacare is so bad, man, and the people is not stupid in the country. So they probably, I mean, we know that's going to collapse totally. But they are not going to move farther to the left because they are seeing the results of management that is already failed. So the insurance companies are going to reorganize, and they are going to have a new insurance companies or new insurance to insure people. And I think they learned the lesson. I think they're going to be more towards the people, more work with the doctors and work with the hospitals. And I think I see already the change in my own practice on United Healthcare. It's an incredible insurance, protect their patients, protect their doctors, protect their hospital. If you have a Cigna insurance or you have a United Healthcare insurance, you do not have a problem. If you have a Blue Cross insurance, God bless you.
Well, that wraps things up on American Medicine Today. Make sure you check us out on Bloomberg nationally on Saturdays, as well as here locally on WFTS, ABC 28. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.